It's funny how one moment in a marriage can feel like the ultimate test, the moment where you either walk away or decide to play the game better than anyone else in the room. That's exactly where I found myself the night my wife decided to ask for something so outrageous, so beyond the lines we'd drawn together, that I had to stop and wonder if she'd lost her mind, or if she'd been planning this all along. My name's Jason Miller. Born and raised in Chicago, the kind of guy who believes in working hard, keeping your word, and protecting what's yours. I wasn't flashy, but I'd built a good life, solid career in tech, a nice house in the suburbs, and a marriage to a woman I thought I knew inside and out. Her name was Lauren. From the moment we met at a networking event downtown, she'd struck me as this fiery mix of charm and unpredictability. She was American through and through, with a love for pushing boundaries, sometimes in ways that thrilled me, and sometimes in ways that made my gut tighten with unease. For the first few years, we were solid. Sure, she liked to experiment role-play, costumes, new ideas, and I went along with most of it. I figured that's what kept things exciting. But one evening, right before our anniversary, she sat me down with that nervous energy that always meant she was about to drop something big. I expected maybe a trip, a new hobby she wanted to try. What I got instead was a proposal that made my pulse hammer for all the wrong reasons. She told me she wanted to spice things up, her exact words, by inviting someone else into our bedroom. Not just anyone. A man. And not just any man, a guy named Mark, her so-called buddy from yoga and some activist circles she'd been hanging around lately. The way she said his name, soft, casual, too familiar, made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I stared at her, trying to process. So, let me get this straight. You want me to sit there while you hook up with Mark? In our bed? She rushed to explain that it wasn't like that it was about exploration, about breaking free from outdated ideas. I asked her point blank if I'd be allowed to invite another woman into the mix, and she immediately backpedaled. Jason, that's different, she said. Yeah. Different, sure. Everything in me wanted to shut it down right there, but as she kept talking, I started wondering if this was more than just a wild fantasy. Something in her eyes told me she and Mark might have already crossed lines, and this threesome idea was her way of making it legitimate. So, I made a choice. I could blow up the marriage right there, or I could play along, flip the script, and make sure they never forgot what they were asking for. I forced a smile and said, okay. Let's do it. Lauren lit up, genuinely believing I'd come around. She started planning everything, the night, the setting, even costumes. She bought herself a black leather dominatrix outfit and a latex superhero suit for Mark. I told her I'd stick to my normal clothes, which only made her clap her hands like an excited kid. She had no idea I was already working on my own plan. Over the next few days, I installed hidden cameras in every key spot: living room, kitchen, bedroom, even outside. And I got myself a little something extra, an industrial strength laxative. The kind that doesn't politely knock, it kicks the door in. When the night came, Lauren left to pick up Mark, giving me half an hour to set the final traps. I locked the only bathroom from the inside, slipped out the tiny window, and sealed it behind me. I poured wine for the table, spiked it with enough laxative to level a football team, and left a note saying there'd been a work emergency and I'd be back soon. From my car a few blocks away, I watched the cameras. Lauren and Mark walked in laughing, spotted the note, and after a quick phone call where I encouraged them to start without me, they settled into the living room. At first, it was all flirting and smug grins. They poured the wine, toasted to new adventures, and started slow dancing. Then Lauren disappeared upstairs, reappearing in that leather outfit. Mark squeezed into his latex getup, looking more like a sad balloon animal than anything intimidating. And then, the magic began. Lauren's smile faltered. She pressed a hand to her stomach. Within minutes, she was rushing to the bathroom, only to discover it was locked. Mark tried to help, but between the skin-tight latex and his own growing discomfort, he was useless. A loud, unmistakable noise echoed through the room, and Mark doubled over, clutching his gut. I nearly choked laughing in my car. In desperation, Lauren tore at her outfit, but the zipper jammed. She bolted from room to room before spotting a big decorative vase in the corner. That became her throne of shame. Meanwhile, Mark staggered outside, still sealed in latex, and eventually ripped it open with a tree branch so he could crouch behind one of my prized evergreens. By the time I got home, the scene was perfect. Mark was hunched under the tree, looking like a wreck. Lauren was perched on the vase, flushed with humiliation. I didn't even have to say much. Just a few choice remarks about them painting the place and ruining the marriage like they ruined the decor. I left that night for a hotel, videos safely backed up. The next morning, I sent Lauren a little teaser clip of Mark's latex disaster. Later, I slipped the same clip into a private group of her activist friends. The roast that followed was brutal. By the end of the week, Lauren called asking for a quiet divorce. She thought she'd rewrite our marriage on her terms. Instead, I gave her a night she'd never forget, just not for the reasons she imagined.